They say Japan's a great place for dating. But you know what? There are some guys who are, otherwise handsome, making a good living, showered, dressed nice, can't seem to get a date. Why? Well, there are, in Japanese dating circles, there's what they call the 3 C's of dating. And those are the 3 types of guys you shouldn't date. And whether this is true or not, there are a lot of articles and relationship advice articles about this. So if you were to look up the 3 C's, I'll give some samples in the description below. If you look at the 3 C's, those are the 3 types of guys that you don't want to date. And they give some lengthy reasons. So number 1 is the cameraman. Now, Japanese is not really a gendered language. They use cameraman for everybody, but let's say photographer. Let's just kind of make it gender neutral. Photographer. You don't want to date a photographer. Number 1, they spend every vacation doing nothing but taking pictures. You're not going to get to do anything fun. Every time dinner comes out, he's going to say, wait, got to take a picture first. And it's kind of like the Instagram model type thing. But if you're dating a cameraman, everything is a photo op. Everything is a photo op. So they kind of get tired of that. And there's this kind of image that photographers don't make any money. And with a few exceptions, that's probably true. You don't get into photography to get rich. There are a lot of photographers who do it as a side gig. I'm a total amateur, so I don't think I've ever made any money with photography, but I sure enjoy it. But there's an image that photographers don't make much money, but they're only looking through one level of analysis here. What does it take to be a photographer? Okay, good camera body, $2,000, $3,000. Lenses are more expensive than cameras. You can see a photographer who's got like $15,000 worth of equipment on their neck. A good tripod, yeah, you can go to Bic Camera and get something for 10, 15 bucks that's gonna hold your camera up as long as you don't bump it. But if you want a nice tripod, you could spend $1,000 for that. So you could see a photographer on any given day with $15,000, $20,000 of equipment on their neck. Tells me they're not poor. Maybe they've got a really good job, or maybe they're successful as a photographer. But so I think that dispels the myth that photographers don't make money. But I think, and we're going to talk about this in the next C, but I think creative types don't get a lot of respect in Japan. Famous artists do, but people who are just, on their way up and coming, doing something creative, there's not a lot of respect for that because they're seen as risky. So the next thing about a cameraman is, and I'm not going to harp on this too much, but some of them use their hobby as a way of meeting women. And sometimes they'll maybe say, oh, it's just a picture. And then they'll ask you to maybe take some pictures that make you uncomfortable. And but it doesn't happen all at once. It happens over time. So they may start out with, hey, here's a really elegant gown. You should wear this. Oh, but there's a slit down the leg. You should show a little leg. And then next time, we're going to do something in a mini skirt because it's spring. And then, it's summer. So we need to do a bikini model shoot. So it's called grooming. And some photographers have been known to do this. There are some industries that are very dark, even in Japan, that some women who get wrapped up in those industries started off getting scouted as a model on the street. It's very flattering to be told that you're beautiful and somebody wants to take your picture. And if you need money, it can go down a very dark path. So the second C is creator. And this is probably why I'll never get a date in Japan. Just kidding, I got somebody. But if I were to start right now as a photographer and a YouTube creator, I'd probably never get a date in Japan if I opened up with that, like, hey, nice to meet you. This is my Sony camera. This is my YouTube channel. I'd never get a date. Creators, and this goes for all kinds of social media. So, YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever it is, Blue Sky. People who spend too much time on that are thought to be, spending too much time on social media at the sacrifice of making a living. And people who spend too much time creating. So the acting style in Japan is very different. There's a kind of a school of acting where people overact. They tend to, and you've seen this in Japanese TV shows when something happens and all the actors are like, it's kind of like an exaggerated version of Seinfeld, or even Japanese comedy is kind of like Laurel and Hardy or the Three Stooges. There's a lot of slapstick. So sometimes actors are seen as not cool. Unless you make it to the top and you're making millions of dollars a year, then you're cool. But a starving actor is kind of seen as not cool. So, but creatives, people who make YouTube videos, if you've watched any Japanese YouTube, you know that they tend to exaggerate stuff. They'll do, weird eating challenges. They'll do, just goofy stuff. And those people are seen as not cool. So, and if you see my channel for a while, you see that I started out like the fastest elevator in the world, or in Japan, the shortest escalator in Japan. I started off as an older clone of Mr. Beast. By the way, Beast Games on Amazon Prime, absolutely fantastic. I can't believe that, Jimmy has been able to do this, get a deal with Amazon Prime, and they've set some world records. Insane. Just watched the first 2 episodes last night on Amazon Prime. It was insane. So in my mind, yeah, creators can make money. If you're an online creator, hey, look at Joe Rogan. Of course, he didn't start out as a YouTuber, but that Spotify deal, people say that was $100 million or eventually, $200 million. So yeah, I think some of us get into it. A lot of my friends, the Gaijin Podcast Collective, didn't get into it for the money. It's kind of more like a side gig where we're doing this for fun. Matt talks about AI. Kurt talks about retiring in Japan. John talks about cool stuff. He gives you the word of the day. Paprika Girl has not a podcast. And I know I'm missing some of these, like Joe and Jeff and all these guys. All these people have great channels, and they're not really going out there trying to make money doing it. And most of all, because they have decent jobs anyway. So, there's not a lot of, there's no desperation to, go out there and grab clicks and clickbait you. But I encourage you to watch all them. I'll put some links to their social media and their channels in the description. But the majority of creators don't make money. That's a brutal truth about being a creator in Japan, or sorry, a creator online, anywhere, is that most people aren't doing it for the money because it's fun, it's creative. We love to do creative things. And however, Japanese people see this, and the word YouTuber or streamer, especially after that Johnny Smiley guy came to Japan, boy, streamers don't get a lot of respect these days. And YouTuber, I've been out there, with a nice gimbal and my nice Sony camera taking videos of the Christmas lights in Tokyo, and people say, "Are you a YouTuber?" And it's almost kind of used as a slur. Are you a streamer? Are you a YouTuber? It's kind of like saying, "Are you a bum?" So those are two of the three C's. The third C, sorry, my cameras. I'm using a stabilizer and it's tracking my face, which ironically makes it less stable. But the third C is curry, specifically curry from scratch. So what's wrong with a guy who makes curry from scratch? I mean, I think cooking is kind of cool. I mean, my dad was a fantastic cook, my brother's a great barbecue. My nephew has, I haven't had his barbecue, but his pictures are freaking fantastic. So I'm sure he's doing something right. So to me, cooking's kind of cool. You go camping, and my dad was in charge of pancakes for the Greenwood family reunion for years. And after he passed, people said, the reunion is just not the same because, your dad's not making the pancakes anymore. People were, seriously, we miss him, but also the pancakes and playing cards. Those are the two comments I get the most. So I think guys who cook are cool. And so guys who create curry from scratch in Japan, here's the funny thing. So people have their preferences, right? But a guy who creates curry from scratch does it because he thinks his curry is better than everybody else's. Funny thing is, according to these articles, he thinks his is the best. He has his preferences, and this is the only curry I will eat because it's the best. And a lot of times you end up tasting the curry and it sucks. So it's like, okay, this guy is obsessed with making curry and he sucks. But he tells you everybody else's curry sucks. Another thing is, Japanese homes are small. If you've ever been to a curry restaurant and you come home, it's like, whoa, my clothes smell like curry. So if you, let's say if you're dating a guy who makes curry from scratch and you go over and he's been, spending the whole day making curry, your clothes are going to smell like curry, your hair is going to smell like curry, the house is going to smell like curry. So there's the objection to that. Some people say, like, I love curry, but I'll eat at a restaurant, not at home. Like I said, homes are small. So you don't want the whole house to smell like curry, your clothes and your curtains to smell like curry. Also, they spend too much time. They're too opinionated. Like I said, they think theirs is the best, everybody else's sucks. They're too opinionated, and that could bleed into other areas. So if you bring up something about dating, like if you say, like, hey, I'd prefer that you not communicate with other women, which, always comes up in relationships. Like, hey, some guys will never date a woman who says, I have a lot of male friends, or my ex-boyfriend's my best friend. A lot of guys, that's a deal breaker. Let's go this way. But a guy who makes his own curry is considered too stubborn. So even if you explain something perfectly, he won't change his mind. So he's too stubborn. So those are the 3 C's of dating in Japan. There are several other things, and people ask me all the time, usually DMs, how do I meet chicks? And you know what? I am the wrong guy to ask. But I can tell you some things to avoid in dating in Japan. The video I made on things you don't discuss at work, those pretty much apply to dating too. And you can watch that video right here, or you can watch another random video YouTube thinks you'll like right here.